Hey, welcome into another edition of Tony Talks Trash About Music. I got a short little thing here that I'm going to do. It's a solo thing here. I want to celebrate a release on vinyl here. This is one of the artists. You know, when you have artists that don't do huge numbers as far as sales and things go, jazz artists and stuff. Some of the old legacy stuff. Sometimes if it falls in that period of time where the records weren't really being happened, there's a trouble. And one of my favorite artists, as you're going to soon find out, we're going to do a female artist. We're going to be doing a countdown of Annette Peacock. Annette Peacock's absolutely one of my favorite artists. And I'm talking today to celebrate the release of the fabulous and Acrobat's Heart. This is just released on vinyl. I think it's in Germany. There's not going to be many of these guys. So if you're a fan of Annette at all, I belong to a world that's destroying itself, abstract contact, things like that. Some of the early stuff. If you like her stuff, this may be a little bit different for you. This was commissioned by Manfred Eicher, of course, ECM label, and she it'd been a good little while here since she had done anything. But this record is very different in that it is written for a string quartet. And it's funny the way construction, everything is real tight at the beginning. Like it seems like all the movements of the string quartet and all the notes and everything and the vocal and everything move parallel. And as the record goes a little longer, it becomes a little bit more straight from the third and fourth. It is an intense but completely different. I mean, if you're into any of Annette's old stuff, and when I'm talking about her stuff, the classic stuff about "I'm the One," of course, was a big one with Main Man when she was signed with Bowie and stuff. Perfect Release. I love all these. Sky Skating is super great. Been in the Streets too long. And then there's Abstract Contact, which I like a lot. I like some of these, even 3131. But this came in 2000, so it had been like 12 years. It had been a long period of time. And when this came out, it came out for her to write with a string quartet. They're called the Cicada String Quartet. Henrik Hannesdahl, Odd Hannesdahl, Morten Hannesdahl, and Marek Konstantinovich. So I can't say the name. But anyway, three people, the same last name, and one of not. Four sides here. Bare Annette playing piano, as she tends to do. Not to go the obvious place when you hear that. That's the one thing about her compositions that I've always liked is she does not appear to go the obvious place that you think the chord's going to resolve. If you're expecting normal resolution and normal things to record progressions, you're not going to get it with her. She's very much herself. I don't know if this photo in the back here of the Acrobat is really her. But this record is really something, and it stands out, and it's different, and you should really get this. And I got to believe that even if you're not way into it, I can't see this record losing value because I don't think they made very many of these. It's on the Luminescence. ECM label. I had it ordered for me for CD Seller. Wouldn't normally gonna do it, so it doesn't have a very high profile, and it is the first time this record's ever been out on vinyl. So I would very much recommend this. It's a great experience. It's one of those experiences that unfolds slowly over four sides. It was done in the CD age. I have a little story too to tell. I guess I'll put this story in here to save you from when we do the countdown. But essentially, I first saw Annette Peacock. I knew Annette Peacock. I've heard. I'm the One. I'd heard that. I'd heard the original stuff, and I heard maybe X Dreams. And I was up, as some of you may know, I've been a hardcore Todd Rundgren fan for a long time. Well, at some point, at Todd Rundgren's place, upstate New York came up for sale when he moved to San Francisco. And I guess this was sometime in the late 90s, something like that, somewhere in that time period. So it would have probably preceded this. And we went up to the estate sale. Grabbed some records, grabbed some different things, grabbed some interesting little items, and it was just neat to be up there where everything was happening at the end of the long roll on Mink Hollow Road. So we're there in this, and all of a sudden this lady comes in, starts talking to her, kind of talking to herself out loud. I was talking to somebody else. She's kind of good, kind of good looking, but you could tell she was an art person, and She talked with me for a long period of time about Todd's couch and the vibes of the Todd's couch. And, I thought it was somebody from Woodstock, somebody that was somewhat of like a, not a hippie person, but somebody from up there that lived there. It was Annette Peacock. Annette Peacock was walking around and she ended up buying the couch, the green. Todd had this long green couch in his main room, and that was the thing she was interested in. And I talked with her for a long time. My God, if I would have known it was her and I knew the full breadth of what she'd done, hell, I just, she would have to take a fly swatter to hit me off. I've been following her around because I love her music, but I didn't develop the love of music until after that period of time. But it was interesting. She was up there on her own. I don't know. She wasn't there with anybody. And she was talking to people and very much seemed to be a person that was just, she talked to herself if she had to. She was just a free spirit and the kind of person you would imagine, knowing the whole history of her, if you know the history, and we'll go through that at some time. But this isn't really about that. We'll delve into that a longer time. I'm gonna reserve some time for Annette. I love Annette's one of my favorite. But anyway, get this, guys, while you can. If you're a fan, this is on vinyl for the first time, and it ain't gonna last long. I can't imagine even made 1,000 copies of it. Her stuff is not marketed for the mass thing. She had a chance with Main Man, clearly turned her back on it, and has lived a life of great integrity. When I think she was in the whole circle there with Paul Bley and married to Gary Peacock and Carla Bley, that whole scene. I mean, this is and I'm glad that ECM did this for her. I mean, she's not typically an ECM artist, but it was nice that they did that and commissioned this string quartet for her to do. I think it's a fantastic thing, and we'll talk some more about Annette later. But anyway, coming with the highest recommendations, go out and get an Acrobat's Heart as soon as you can, because it's not going to be around for a very long time. All you do, check some of the prices of some of these other Annette records and the early Paul Bley records and things. They're going to go. They go high quickly because they don't make a lot of them. So, uh, and there's always going to be a select group of people that this has to reach. High art always has its way to weave its way into artists. Listening and artist influence way into the future. So for those of you who are calling, this is out, whether you knew it or you didn't. Thanks a lot. And you have any comments about Annette or anything, leave it there. We're going to do an Annette thing later, as I say. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we will check you next time.